Forecast First is brought to you by Fayette Heating and Air.
Well, we saw a beautiful Sunday out across the Commonwealth, but now we do have some rain showers moving in here for the overnight hours. You see it mostly heading into parts of southern and south central Kentucky, but we may get in on a few isolated cells for parts of central Kentucky. This is all this next wave of energy that's moving through, but it really won't affect us that much. By tomorrow morning, most of that rain out of our area. A cool start, but temperatures back into the 60s with plenty of sunshine, but enjoy it now, because some big changes are in the forecast. I'll have those details just ahead. The Fox 56 10 o'clock news starts right now.
Violence across the nation and here in central Kentucky.
The ambulance, fire department, police, everybody was here.
The details we're learning tonight about a deadly Lexington shooting. The body of a Kentucky veteran is now home. A look at his journey and how one organization is ensuring all veterans are not forgotten. And despite a recent increase in COVID cases, many businesses are still seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. Why one Lexington bar is opening its doors again and what they hope reopenings will bring.
The Fox 56 10 o'clock news starts now.
Good evening to you. The U.S. has seen a rash of high-profile and mass shootings in recent weeks. Today is no different. Now, police in Lexington were kept busy as well with 2 crime scenes in just a few hours. The first was a deadly shooting on Alumni Drive. 1 person killed there. Tonight, the coroner's office has identified the victim as 17-year-old Hayden Nash. Police are investigating his death as a homicide. Also on Pennebaker Drive, police tell us 1 person was shot with what they're calling life-threatening injuries. 1 person has been detained in that case. Now, Shelby Smithson was at both of those crime scenes tonight. She has the latest first on Fox.
I never heard a shot, and I was out on the porch. What I heard was screaming.
Followed shortly by sirens. Linda Murphy's apartment complex was covered in police cruisers just before 4 Sunday. Officers responded to a shots fired call to find 1 person who was shot and killed.
The ambulance, fire department, police, everybody was here, 4 or 5, maybe 6 cruisers. And within 5 or 6 minutes, they were already taping off the crime scene.
This isn't the first time Murphy's home was in the middle of an investigation, but she says it's still a relatively safe neighborhood. She feels tensions are just high everywhere.
But I think everything, as far as violence, all the things that we're all dealing with, the stress from COVID, is really just bringing people up to a higher level of anger and violence.
That level erupted into a brawl at the second crime scene. There was a huge crowd on Pennebaker Drive where a house was taped off with crime scene tape. We watched police put multiple people in handcuffs and load them into cruisers. In Lexington, Shelby Smithson for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
As for the shootings, we don't know right now if either one of them is connected. Police say no one is in custody in connection to the deadly shooting on Alumni. They're asking anyone with information to call Lexington police. Also, as we mentioned, a deadly day across the nation, a manhunt underway for a former sheriff's deputy wanted in the fatal shooting of 3 people in Austin, Texas. 41-year-old Stephen Broderick is accused of killing 2 Hispanic women and 1 black man. Police believe the shooting is a domestic situation. They say there's no risk to the general public. Broderick is a former detective who resigned last year after he was arrested and charged with sexual assault of a child. And 3 men are dead after a shooting overnight in Kenosha, Wisconsin. 3 others were injured. The shooting happened at a popular tavern, which attracts a lot of college students. 1 suspect is in custody. Officials also say the shooting appears to be a targeted and isolated incident, and there's no further threat to the community. 1 person is dead after an ATV crash in Lexington. This happened around 1:30 this afternoon on Haley Road, not far from the interstate. We don't know the age of the victim at this time. We don't know their name. No other injuries were reported, and police tell us no criminal charges are expected to be filed. A war hero returned home this morning. A Kentucky veteran who died in Florida was escorted back to Kentucky today to be laid to rest. Wallace Taylor outlived his family, but on his final journey, he was far from alone. Grace Feinerman shows us how hundreds honored him.
A procession of 200 veterans from around the country paying tribute to one of their own, escorting war hero Wallace Taylor over 1,000 miles from Florida back to his old Kentucky home.
Anytime we hear about a fellow veteran losing the battle, we always try to show up in force to at least give them a good farewell.
Anthony Williams is part of the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. It's an organization ensuring veterans are not forgotten and are buried with proper military honors. Today, they're serving Taylor, who outlived all his family. His remains unfound for months after he passed, bringing him to rest in his hometown of Louisville.
It would make him cry. I mean, he wouldn't expect this at all.
Robert Lynch met Taylor in 2014.
The young age of 90 years old back then.
After finding out Taylor lived alone, the Lynch family brought him in for holidays and birthdays, adopting Taylor's 11-year-old border collie after his passing. Lynch explains Taylor served in both World War II and the Korean War. He was honored with the title of Kentucky Colonel, something he took great pride in.
But he had a kind heart at the core. He was always asking, what can he do for veterans?
Now, a veteran who was unclaimed, finding family through others who have served.
He has us, regardless, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, it doesn't matter. A veteran is a veteran, and we try to look out for each other. And this is a good example of that happening.
Looking out for a man who dedicated his life looking out for us. In Madison County, Grace Feinerman for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
Well-wishers can make a donation to help fund Wallace Taylor's journey home. If you want to help out, you can find the GoFundMe page in this story on our website, foxlexington.com. One person is dead and 2 more are missing after a boat and barge collided after the thunder over Louisville fireworks last night. The accident happened on the Ohio River near Louisville. 7 people were on the boat. 5 of them were accounted for and taken to the hospital. 1 of them has died. Crews have been searching for the other 2. Officials say it has turned from a rescue mission to a recovery. Today, Governor Andy Beshear announced 275 new cases of COVID-19 and 4 coronavirus-related deaths. And the state also reported 4 more deaths from the ongoing audit. So Kentucky's death toll now stands at 6,338. The positivity rate went up slightly today. It's at 3.48%. More than 1.6 million different people have been vaccinated in Kentucky. And many businesses were forced to close their doors at one point or another during the pandemic. Others chose to close temporarily. One Lexington bar is now reopening to begin serving customers again. They hope the end may be in sight in the fight against COVID-19. Our Grayson Passmore has more details on what it means for downtown.
After months of closure, plenty of speculation, a mysterious countdown on Instagram, leaving many anxious for an announcement.
We were just, kind of waiting to reopen when everyone was ready to have a good time, and we think that moment's very, very soon.
Doors closed the past year during the pandemic. A Lexington staple is set to reopen Derby weekend.
And that Friday and Saturday of that weekend is a special weekend in Kentucky, so that's when we plan on reopening the doors here at Bell's.
A fixture on Market Street, Bell's Cocktail House, like most in the hospitality industry, hit tough times, eventually closing their doors.
Our model kind of really doesn't work without the energy and without seeing a lot of guests throughout the night.
With seemingly no end to the pandemic in sight, things for downtown businesses looked bleak.
From the start of the pandemic, we went from day-to-day hope to week to month on when things could kind of get back to normal.
And as more and more people get vaccinated, regulations lift, and even events like Thursday Night Live and the Railbird Festival come back, the doors are finally opening again.
We hope this is just a small step in getting folks some more normalcy and just, just having better times ahead.
More normalcy and more business after a hard 14 months. In Lexington, Grayson Passmore for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
And organizers say Thursday Night Live events are set to kick off this summer and run through October. Recent polls show up to a quarter of 18 to 24-year-olds would not get a COVID-19 vaccine. Research says some Gen Zers do not see themselves as high risk, so they would skip the shot. But overall, many cite the lack of public messaging targeted toward them as contributing to the problem. So researchers say some places are trying to fix that.
There's a lot of universities that are adopting student-led initiatives, a lot of influencers that are leading the way on TikTok and on Instagram.
And researchers say local governments can help too by getting advisory boards or a focus group to create messaging for their generation. Well, a small act of kindness can go a long way. How folks in Lexington working to bring some positivity to the community this week. That's next.
And we're watching some drier days ahead, but a big cool down is on the way. I'll be talking about that and much more in my full forecast after the break.
Tomorrow, Compassionate Lexington is kicking off its Lex Give Back Week. The mission is to help others through acts of kindness. We can all do that, right? Chelsea Jones shows us how to get involved.
Acts of kindness can go a long way.
Compassion is so important to so many of us, and yet we don't always know how to live it out.
Compassionate Lexington, a nonprofit organization, is giving people a few ideas. Tomorrow, it's kicking off Lex Give Back Week. Each day, people are encouraged to do something nice.
Tuesday is Tip Big Tuesday, so the idea being, hey, when you go out to eat, we hope you're tipping already, but give a double tip to let those workers know how much you appreciate them. There's Thinking of You Thursday, where we're saying pick 10 people that you haven't connected with in a while and send them a text or an email or write a card.
Corey Wilcoxon, Executive Director of Compassionate Lexington, says anyone can participate. Wilcoxon says a week of compassion is needed now more than before with recent acts of violence. A man who lives in Lexington agrees.
When you see somebody walking down at a bus stop and they're worn and tired, maybe you should pull over and say, hey, do you need a ride? Can I give you a ride? Don't make them wait 30 minutes for a bus in cold weather. You can also help someone who's having car trouble or donate to your favorite charity.
Something as simple as making a meal for a neighbor who was sick or pulling in garbage cans for your elderly neighbor that struggles with that.
Whether the act is big or small, Wilcoxon says kindness is what makes us smile. In Lexington, Chelsea Jones for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
For more information on how you can show acts of kindness this week, just visit lexgiveback.org. An Eastern Kentucky artist is spreading the message of no hate in my holler on a new billboard in Pikeville. Lacey Hale designed it. It's inspired by an incident in 2017 when neo-Nazis were recruiting in Pikeville. Hale's piece was chosen from several submissions to be displayed on the billboard, and she hopes this is not the only time her message is heard.
Put them all over Eastern Kentucky, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, like anywhere that people feel like they need this phrase to be out where it's seen and people can like see it, think about it, dwell on it, identify with it.
Hale says she plans to donate any proceeds from the design to local nonprofit organizations working toward equality.
Well, after a bit of a dreary Saturday, this Sunday made up for with much better conditions out there, and now fairly quiet for tonight, except not for everyone. That's changing here through the overnight hours. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's going to be moving through quickly, but temperatures down into the lower 50s right now, so those temperatures staying a little bit more mild or milder compared to the previous nights. But you see this action here on current Fox radar. Some isolated activity starting to move into parts of central Kentucky, but a lot of the rain really down into parts of southern Kentucky, south central Kentucky, and it's going to be moving on that track here through the overnight. So most of us going to be in bed. Those of us that maybe going to bed a little bit later, it's going to be a nice little sound for sleep out there for tonight. This system, though, pushing through off to the east. As we look at hour by hour forecast, you see models not even really picking up on the rain that well, but keeping it there to the south. And as I mentioned, really moves through the overnight. By tomorrow morning, you may not even have realized rain moved through because it's going to be out of the way. We are get back into sunny skies and talking about temperatures climbing through the 60s and into the mid 60s for the afternoon. So a very nice feeling day out there indeed for Monday afternoon. We'll keep that trend going into Tuesday as well. Monday night into Tuesday, those temperatures get back into a cooler feel, back around the mid to lower 40s. But as we get into the afternoon, into the evening hours, you'll see those temperatures get back around the mid 60s, upper 60s, southwesterly winds gusting, breezing up as we get into the afternoon hours. And I could even see a few more temperatures get closer, if not into the 70s out there for Tuesday evening, just because of that strong southwest wind. But you notice as we get into Tuesday night, that system up to our northwest, models have been picking up on it well, and we've been talking about the past several days, a little bit of blast of cold air coming in our way. And you can see how deep into the United States it really digs down into the region, and that just shows how powerful of a cold air mass this is coming down into the region. And those winds going to be shifting out of the north as well. So let's track that system now as we go into Tuesday night, Tuesday overnight. We'll see that rain increase, then in through the overnight into Wednesday morning. You'll see that wintry mix around, and maybe that could create a few issues, well, maybe on some roadways, but otherwise we're not really tracking a winter storm. It's not going to be accumulating a lot, if any at all, because ground temperatures have been well above freezing for a while. But it's still the fact that we have snow chances in the forecast, wintry mix chances, and temperatures definitely going to be on the frigid side as we go from the 60s all the way down to the 40s, a 20+ degree temperature drop with overnight lows even colder than that, down around freezing and below for a few nights.
My wife today was talking a little bit about wanting to do some planting, and I said she must not have been paying enough attention to your forecast because this is not the week to do it.
No. If you have planted, if you wanted to plant, I would hold off on planting. But if you have already, make sure to cover those up for those several nights ahead.
All right, Adam, thank you. An unusual call for police in Utah and how one toy company is encouraging folks to take care of the planet. Those stories ahead in the Spotlight.
Dating with kindness.
Yeah, that is what Facebook is aiming for as it tests a video speed dating feature.
Interesting.
The app is called Sparked. It's described as video dating with kind people. It'll allow users to speed through 4-minute dates, and unlike other dating apps, Sparked won't have public profiles. Exchange of contact information will be suggested if users enjoyed the first round of video calls. The first thing I'll say about this is that Facebook and kind are not two words that I associate with each other.
No, not usually.
But it's worth a shot, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, in an unusual dating world with the pandemic, I guess that's a great way to get out to dating, I guess.
Yeah.
We're not experts, clearly, on any of this. So.
But the technology makes something like that good. So, all right, moving on.
Good for them. Well, police in Moab, this is a little more interesting. Moab, Utah, had apparently not come across anything like this before, and I don't blame them. 2 people pitched a tent, camped out on the roof of a church. Look at that picture. They had an extension cord even going inside the church, because obviously you have to have
power from the church, yes, of course.
The police department posted this photo on Facebook on Tuesday. The post included the words, "Just when you think you've seen everything." There was no property damage, no one pressed charges, and no one was arrested. So a decent outcome to just kind of a weird situation there.
I want to know why. Like what? Yeah. Like were they just camping for the night, just for fun, or have they been there for a while? That's the other thing. How long have they been up there without them noticing? So I have more questions, but it certainly is interesting to see that picture there, just like tent. Like a legit tent, just right on the roof there.
Yeah, and then they were powering something, so maybe they had like a portable radio, TV, I don't know. It's a very interesting.
It's very interesting.
Mysterious situation there.
Yeah, I have to figure that out. Yeah. We'll go check after this, make sure no one's camping on our roof here.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Well, Matchbox is going green, making sure even its toy cars have a smaller carbon footprint.
Yeah, Mattel's iconic Matchbox cars are getting an eco upgrade. You can see it there. It's an effort to get kids thinking about the environmental impact of driving. The toys will not only be almost entirely sourced from recycled materials, they'll also be designed to mirror hybrid cars, electric cars currently on the market. So Matchbox's first hybrid-inspired model is the Tesla Roadster.
Very cool.
We wanted to work with Tesla to inspire kids as the future drivers of tomorrow. We think their parents will love to see how their kids play with cars that encourage environmental consciousness, like electric cars.
Matchbox will be expanding its eco car line to include hybrid models of Nissan, Toyota, and BMW, as well as an electric charging station. And all of this will be made available to purchase sometime this year. I'm definitely not surprised they're starting with Tesla.
Right.
You're seeing more and more of those cars on the roads as it is.
Right.
So I'm certainly not surprised that that's what they are starting with. But I mean, those are some cool models there. I was a huge fan of playing with cars when I was a kid. Hot Wheels,
Absolutely.
Matchbox. I had so many. My favorite thing to do inside, outside. I played with them everywhere all the time.
I'm pretty sure I still have a lot of my Hot Wheels hidden away somewhere in a closet. I'm sure my wife has probably told me to get rid of them, and I just don't want to. But really cool to see. I'm always a big fan of any green initiative from any company, so very cool to see they're taking that step.
My parents still have all my cars because when they take care of their grandkids, my nieces and nephews, they get to play with them. So next time I want to play cars, now I know to go to your house.
Yep, I got them.
All right, and that's what's in the spotlight tonight.
Coming up on the Fox 56 Sports Extra, the 11th region sweeps Mr. and Miss Basketball. Lex Cass, Ben Johnson, and Franklin County's Brooklyn Miles winning this year's awards. Hear from them in just a bit. On the Diamond, we head to Athens for today's series finale between Kentucky and Georgia. We also head to the Plains for the softball finale between the Cats and Auburn. That and more coming up on the Fox 56 Sports Extra.
As the global death toll from COVID-19 reaches another staggering milestone, a decision should come soon by the CDC as to whether the Johnson & Johnson vaccine should continue to be administered. This after a small number of women developed rare blood clots. Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman has more.
The Johnson & Johnson vaccine might not be in limbo for much longer. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he expects a decision on how to move forward with the one-and-done shot on Friday, when a Centers for Disease Control and Prevention panel is scheduled to meet. Fauci says it's likely the U.S. will resume use of the vaccine, possibly with some restrictions or health warnings.
My estimate is that we will continue to use it in some form. I doubt very seriously if they just cancel it. I don't think that's going to happen.
The pause came after at least 6 women developed rare blood clots after receiving the vaccine. Health officials stress the risk remains extremely low as more than 7 million Americans have been injected with the one-shot vaccine. The abrupt halt forcing vaccination sites across the country to quickly switch to Pfizer and Moderna, which require people to come back for a second dose.
Having a one dose allows us to have those folks come in one time to receive that vaccination without having the pressure of coming back for another vaccination.
Despite these setbacks, the vaccine campaign is still well underway. CDC data shows roughly half of all U.S. adults have received at least one vaccine dose, and about 30% are fully vaccinated. Still, global deaths from COVID-19 continue to climb, surpassing 3 million people on Saturday, according to Johns Hopkins University data. That's the equivalent of the populations of Philadelphia and Dallas combined. The U.S. has reported the most COVID-19 deaths of any country so far, with more than 560,000, followed by Brazil and Mexico. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
If you are one of the people who received the J&J vaccine more than a month ago, health experts say your risk is still very small, but the FDA says if you received the vaccine in the last few weeks, just contact your provider if you were to develop symptoms.
And the symptoms mimic a stroke. You can have a severe headache, you can have blurred vision, you could start losing your ability to speak or have slurring of your speech, or you might notice that your hands or your arms aren't working properly.
Health experts also say patients with blood clotting disorders are encouraged to watch for symptoms and contact a physician. Kentucky has paused its administration of the J&J vaccines, but officials strongly encourage folks to look at getting either the Pfizer or Moderna shots right now. Multiple Kentucky families have some more resources thanks to a community giveaway. As for folks impacted by flooding in southeastern Kentucky, several churches in Perry, Bell, and Harlan counties came together yesterday in Hazard and gave away items like food, cleaning supplies, and household items. Church leaders say they would stay out all day and as long as there was a need.
That will allow us to stay out here until the last person is served. And that could be 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. We don't put a time on God's work. We're here. to serve, and we're going to serve until the last person is served.
Jones says he's thankful for the help they received from the other churches who pitched in. Wildlife experts are warning of an uptick in salmonella in some birds, and they say it could spread to humans if folks aren't careful. Allie Blake has the details.
While most people are worried about the COVID-19 pandemic, there's another disease that's made its way into Kentucky, and it's affecting local birds.
The CDC had put out an announcement that there was a Salmonella typhimurium outbreak in songbirds that had been linked to some cases in humans.
With more people being home in Kentucky and participating in bird watching, there are more inexperienced people that, if the feeder is cared for improperly, can spread the disease to people in Kentucky.
Across the state from Callaway, Washington County, and Bullitt. So pretty widely spread.
The hotspot of these transmission sites are feeders. Nick Patton, manager of Wild Birds Unlimited, says,
with feeders, sometimes it causes the birds to kind of group up, and that can cause transmission. It is spread mostly by the feces, but it can spread, individual to individual.
The best way to prevent this is to actually clean your feeder often, something that is often forgotten by experienced and inexperienced people.
I mean, we wash our dishes, we clean our cat and dog food bowls. Like it's the same for wild birds.
If you're not sure if the feeder has ever been cleaned, the best thing to do is to take down the feeder, sanitize it, and put it back up in 2 weeks.
Bleach, soak your feeders, rinse them, and let them dry completely before you put them back up.
If you find a dead bird near your feeder, the best thing to do is to put on gloves, double bag it, and call Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. They'll come pick it up and analyze it for possible contamination. Allie Blake for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
Well, it's a first for the city of Corbin. City planning the first ever Colonel Fest to celebrate Colonel Harlan Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken. One highlight, the Finger Lickin' Chicken 0.5K. You have to eat a piece of chicken as part of the race. It's my kind of event there. There'll also be a fried chicken contest and a costume contest. All that is set for April 24th. We're comparing some of Kentucky's high school graduation requirements to other states. And in this case, looking at personal finance classes, only 6 states in the country require the course. Kentucky is not one of them, but one superintendent says learning at home could make a difference.
I think parent workshops would help not only the students, but it would help the parents as well. I think a lot of us don't realize the demands entering the workforce or even, financing college.
School leaders say funding and staffing are 2 big factors in what is or can be offered to students. Florida is enlisting truck drivers to help keep roads safe, how they're helping in the fight against human trafficking. That's ahead in 5 things to know before you go to bed. A verdict in one of the most closely watched trials in decades could come this week as closing arguments and jury deliberations in the murder trial of Derek Chauvin are set to begin. That tops tonight's Fox 56 News Notes. After 3 weeks of testimony, closing arguments from both sides are expected to begin on Monday. The prosecution will tie together expert testimony, videos, and other evidence to explain how Chauvin's actions were a substantial cause of George Floyd's death. On the other hand, the defense will argue Floyd's drug use and underlying health conditions were partially responsible. Now, it's hard to say when a verdict will come down. The jurors will be sequestered starting Monday. More vigils held today to honor those who lost their lives in the mass shooting at the FedEx plant in Indianapolis last week. Prayer vigil held on the steps of City Hall in Beech Grove. 8 people were killed late Thursday night when a gunman identified as 19-year-old Brandon Hull opened fire at the facility there. Police say Hull then killed himself. Mourners said they wanted to pay tribute to those who died and show support for the families who lost loved ones. The head of the Tokyo Olympics says that the postponed games will not be canceled despite surging COVID cases in Japan. Now, that question comes after concerns were raised by officials. Polls show as many as 80% in Japan oppose holding the Olympics during the pandemic. Coming up in sports, we head to Athens for today's series finale between Georgia and the baseball Wildcats. Plus, the 11th region has swept the Mr. and Miss Basketball Awards for the first time. Hear from Ben Johnson and Brooklyn Miles after the break.
Oh, we are are starting to see a little bit of rain move into the Commonwealth, into our region at least. It's been moving slowly through western and then also into southern Kentucky for sure a little while now. Around central Kentucky, it's a lot more isolated, a lot lighter if it's even reaching the ground. We have some more heavier rainfall, though. That's going to be sliding just into parts of southern Kentucky, into southeastern Kentucky. You can see already a little bit into Russell and Adair counties, and then down even further to the southwest. The good news is that all that rain going to be shifting off to our east by tomorrow morning. So you may wake up tomorrow, not even realize it rained in your area. Temperatures going to be starting out a bit on the cooler side, down into the lower 40s. But by the afternoon, evening, we're going to keep warming up those temperatures. A nice sunny day, few clouds mixed in as well, a lot similar to today where those temperatures get around the mid to lower 60s, so a little bit of a warmer feel, but temperatures still coming in below our average. But we've been talking about this cool down coming our way, and you can see that dip in the jet stream with that cold front that's going to be driving all the way into parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, seeing that cold weather. Here in Kentucky, we're going to be seeing some rain turn over to snow late Tuesday night, really through the overnight hours and into Wednesday morning. Now, this isn't going to cause a lot of issues, but it's just showing you just how cold of air is going to be coming into our region with that little bit of a wintry mix hit that continues throughout the day there on Wednesday. And then another weak system may come in Thursday as well. So a lot to not look forward to this week ahead. Let's check in now and see what's happening in sports.
Time now for the Fox 56 Sports Extra.
For the first time since the Mr. and Miss Basketball Awards have been handed out, the 11th region sweeps the honors. Your Mr. Basketball is Lexington Catholic's Ben Johnson, and Miss Basketball is Franklin County's Brooklyn Miles. Johnson, who is LexCast's all-time leading scorer, becomes the 9th player from Lexington to win Mr. Basketball, and the first since Dunbar's Tavion Hollingsworth in 2017. He is the first Knight in school history to win the state's top honor.
I've worked my whole life for this. Ever since I could walk, I had a ball in my hands. And I had two older brothers, that always pushed me in the driveway. They always made me work hard. So I had to earn everything here. And then as I played my 4 years at Catholic, I had great teammates, great coaches that just kept pushing me. And I had a great foundation. And this is, it's indescribable. It's the best way I could end it.
Ben is signed to play college ball at Bellarmine. As for Brooklyn Miles, the Tennessee signee, she's the first 11th region player to win Miss Basketball since Sarah Beth Barnett of LCA in 2010. Miles is the first from Franklin County to win this award and the first Miss Basketball to sign with the Volunteers since 1989.
This award means so much to me. I just want all the younger girls to look up to me and just be like, I want to be great. I just want everybody to be great and work on whatever they need to work on. And I just love my family and my support and my coaches and my teammates and the KHSAA for making all this possible.
Congrats to Ben and Brooklyn. Now, for the fourth consecutive season, UK volleyball is back in the Sweet 16. Tonight, when the Florida-Ohio State match is over on ESPN2, it'll happen at some point tonight. The Wildcats will face off with Western Kentucky. The Cats and Toppers last met in the NCAA tournament in 2017, a 5-set win for UK. With a late start, Craig Skinner was asked if that impacts the team's preparation in the postseason.
We all have to focus on the current match, so you're going to have limited preparation time, so we all have to figure out how to do that and adjust. It'll be nice, to be honest, it would be nice throughout the tournament to have a day in between. I think that's the next step for, volleyball and women's athletics is, having that day in between, to have some more preparation time.
Yeah, I agree. Now, with UK baseball at 7-7 in SEC play, a series win at Georgia, it would go a long way in terms of postseason aspirations. To Athens we go. It is the rubber match between the Cats and the Dogs. Top three, Kentucky down 3-0, Araj Anu. That is a ground rule double. Two come in to score. The lead is cut to 1. Moments later, how clutch is this? Jacob Plastiak. That finds the outfield. The ball is bobbled, so two come in to score. UK goes in front 4-3, but the bottom of the third was a disaster. Pop to left. Call it. Somebody call it. Somebody. Yeah, Anu and Ryan Ritter collide. It was a triple. Georgia ends up laying a beat down on the Cats 17-6 to win this weekend's series. 12th ranked UK softball needing a win over Auburn to snap a 4-game SEC losing streak. Good start. The Cats put up 2 in the third. Riley Smith, a great bunt, and because of the error, in comes Erica Thulin, 2-0 after 3. Top 6, same score before this. Renee Abernathy off the right fielder's glove. 2 more come in, and it's 4-0 Kentucky. With 2 outs, it's the freshman, Erin Cuffle. She's been so clutch all year. 5-0 Cats, and they get it done 5-1 to pick up their first win at Auburn in 9 years. At Morehead State, series finale between the Eagles and Eastern Illinois. This game was over, and it was over early. Jackson Feltner, 4 of 5, a career-high 5 RBI, 6-0 Eagles. Still in the second. That's gone. Launched. Towering shot into the woods. 4th of the year. Morehead State, the OVC leaders, winning it by 10 to improve to 18-13. That's it for sports. We'll be right back.
As more people travel during the coronavirus pandemic, hotels in the Las Vegas Strip are seeing more demand. This time last year, all hotels had to close as COVID-19 cases surged. But more people are now traveling to Las Vegas. And given the overall increase in visitors, MGM Resorts International is working to fill hundreds of open vacancies. Jobs range from food service workers to cleaners and front desk workers. Over in the United Kingdom, a huge landslide has altered the face of Britain's Jurassic Coast. Drone footage shows that a huge section of the cliff has collapsed onto a beach below. The rock fall happened near the south coast seaside town of Weymouth. Local authorities described the incident as a natural phenomenon and that more cliff was expected to be lost. Authorities also urged folks living in the region to stay away from the area. Emus race around their new outdoor enclosure at a zoo in Illinois. 2 male birds, Dill and Echo, settle into their new home at the Brookfield Zoo by examining each and every corner. The flightless creatures couldn't get a bird's eye view, but instead raced around, showing off their incredible speed. Spring in Illinois means these birds moving into their large enclosure, joining other Australian native animals, such as the western gray kangaroo. Florida's Attorney General announced the expansion of a program that would help train commercial truck drivers on how to spot signs of human trafficking while they're out on the road. So far, about 4,000 drivers have been trained in the Highway Heroes program. The company PGT Innovations now agreeing to give the training to all 100 of its drivers and all new hires. Law enforcement says many of their human trafficking busts come along the state's major highway corridors. And with more people traveling as pandemic restrictions are lifted, Oakland International Airport introduced Clear, a touchless security screening technology. It uses passengers' eyes or fingerprints to move them quickly through the screening checkpoint. Technology is also being used at other airports in California and several other states in the country. Clear is an opt-in membership service that is available for an annual fee. There you go, 5 things to know before you go to bed. Well, a little bit of rain out there now, but no excuse not to get outside tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. The rain moves through the overnight hours, doesn't affect us too much. Otherwise, dry Monday, Tuesday before that big cool down comes our way.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.